May 5th, 1943, North Atlantic, pre-dawn. Gale force winds whip up black waves as convoy ONS-5 struggles westward. Aboard the Liberty ship SS West Maximus, lookouts squint into darkness. Suddenly, boom! A tremendous explosion off the starboard bow. A tanker in the convoy is hit, erupting into a fireball that lights up the night. "Torpedo impact!" Starboard side. Crewmen shout over the wind. The wolf pack has struck again. Men scramble to battle stations. The deck gun crew on West Maximus swings its 4-inch gun toward a stealthy periscope, slicing through the waves. Salt spray and smoke choke the air. An escort destroyer's searchlight snaps on, catching the silhouette of a U-boat breaching the surface. The destroyer charges, depth charges already rolling off its rails. The ocean rumbles with a dull thump, 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 as plumes of water shoot upward. On the heaving deck of West Maximus, sailors grip the rails with white knuckles. They know dozens of German submarines are prowling these waters tonight, and that their only hope is to outlast the onslaught. The convoy's survival, and perhaps the fate of the war, hangs in the balance. And dawn is still hours away. 1940 to 1941. The Battle of the Atlantic has begun. After Nazi Germany conquers Western Europe, Britain is left alone, dependent on merchant ships to bring food, fuel, and weapons across the Atlantic. Admiral Dönitz's U-boat fleet, packs of submarines nicknamed wolf packs, seeks to sever this lifeline. In 1940 and 1941, U-boats ravage Allied convoys. Hundreds of merchant ships are sent to the seabed by torpedoes. Each ship lost means tons of supplies never reach Britain's shores. By late 1941, Prime Minister Winston Churchill grimly notes, "The Battle of the Atlantic was the dominating factor all through the war. Britain's survival depends on those convoys." The stakes could not be higher. If the convoys fail, Britain falls. American arsenal across the ocean before Pearl Harbor, the United States is gearing up to aid the Allies. President Franklin D. Roosevelt proclaims America as the arsenal of democracy, vowing to supply embattled nations. In 1941, even while officially neutral, the US begins building an emergency fleet of simple, robust cargo ships for Britain under Lend-Lease. These ships are based on a British design, a no-frills freighter that can be mass-produced quickly. On September 27, 1941, the very first of these new vessels is launched at Baltimore. Christened the SS Patrick Henry, after the American patriot who cried, "Give me liberty or give me death," this 441-foot cargo steamer slides down the ways as a band plays and workers cheer. Roosevelt attends the launch and declares that these ships will bring liberty to Europe. From that day, the class of vessels becomes known as Liberty ships, symbolizing America's resolve to forge a bridge of ships across the Atlantic. The first Liberty ship, SS Patrick Henry, is launched on September 27, 1941, at Bethlehem Fairfield Yard. President Roosevelt's presence and Patrick Henry's famous words, "Give me liberty or give me death," gave this class of ships its name. Liberty ships, mass production. The Liberty ship is not built for elegance, it's built for speed and quantity. Designed as an emergency cargo, EC2 type, it has a blocky silhouette and a top speed of only 11 knots. Its triple expansion steam engine is outdated but reliable. Crucially, the design emphasizes welding and prefabricated sections instead of time-consuming riveting. Brand new shipyards spring up on America's coasts solely to assemble these freighters. In 1941, before the US even enters the war, only a few dozen of these ships exist. But plans are in place to vastly expand production. Hundreds of thousands of American workers, men and women, are hired to build the merchant fleet. In the words of one shipyard boss, Henry Kaiser, they will build ships like matchsticks. There's urgency in the air. Britain needs ships now. Roosevelt's Maritime Commission calls for hundreds of Liberty ships, knowing that without them, Britain might starve. As 1942 dawns, American shipyards begin an unprecedented surge of construction, setting the stage for an industrial battle to match the naval one raging at sea. Axis confidence and miscalculation. On the German side, however, many in the Nazi leadership scoff at America's industrial capacity. The Reichsmarshal, Hermann Göring, head of the Luftwaffe and one of Hitler's top lieutenants, is openly dismissive of U.S. manufacturing. The Americans cannot build airplanes. They are very good at refrigerators and razor blades, Göring quips smugly. This contempt is shared by others in Hitler's circle, who view American goods as inferior mass-market products. In September 1942, during a meeting about faltering German fortunes in North Africa, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel complains that his tanks were shredded by American-made 40mm shells from British fighter bombers. Göring bristles at the implication and snaps. That's completely impossible. The Americans only know how to make razor blades, Rommel, frustrated and fighting for survival at the front, retorts. We could do with some of those razor blades, Herr Reichsmarschall. The room falls silent. This exchange, whether apocryphal or not, highlights a fatal arrogance. Nazi leaders grossly underestimate American industrial might, even as their own frontline commanders sense the tide turning. Göring's razor blade joke will come back to haunt him, because those razor blades are about to be forged into an armada of ships. Operation Drumbeat, America Bleeds, 1942. December 1941. The U.S. is thrust into war after Pearl Harbor. Hitler, confident in victory, declares war on the United States. Dönitz immediately launches Operation Paukenschlag, Drumbeat. U-boats surge to the American East Coast in January 1942. What follows is a massacre of shipping. With U.S. coastal cities poorly prepared, lights blazing at night, silhouetting targets, German submarines enjoy a second happy time. Night after night, tankers and freighters burst into flames within sight of American shores. In the first half of 1942, U-boats sink ships faster than the U.S. can build them. Merchant ships sail unescorted and are picked off one by one. Panicked sailors call the East Coast Torpedo Junction. In June 1942 alone, Allied shipping losses peaked at an astounding 124 ships in a single month. Oil from ruptured tankers blackens American beaches. The situation is dire. Unless the U-boat threat is checked, Allied plans to send armies to Europe could collapse. Each sunrise brings fresh columns of greasy smoke on the horizon, marking another lost ship. But even as the U-boats ravage, American resolve hardens. Convoys are soon organized along the U.S. coast, and naval escorts, destroyers, corvettes, and aircraft, begin to contest the predator-infested seas. More importantly, the American shipyards hit their stride. The Liberty ship program shifts into overdrive. What once took over 200 days to build, the first Patrick Henry took 244 days, is slashed to mere weeks. By mid-1942, assembly lines of keel sections, hull plates, and engines are churning. Workers labor 24/7, welding in showers of sparks, even as news of ships sunk by U-boats spurs them to work faster. An almost unbelievable record is set. One Liberty ship, the SS Robert E. Peary, is built from keel laying to launch in 4 days and 15.5 hours. It's a publicity stunt under wartime pressure. Most ships take longer to outfit, but it proves a point. American industry can do the impossible. In shipyard cafeterias, charts show how many ships have been launched that week. In 18 new shipyards across the nation, the cadence of production is relentless. By 1943, 3 Liberty ships are completed each day on average, an output that stuns friend and foe alike. What Göring once laughed off as razor blades is now manifest as a torrent of steel ships rolling out of dry docks. Convoys fight back. Late 1942 into early 1943, the Battle of the Atlantic enters its climax. The U-boat wolf packs, now ranging far into the mid-Atlantic, confront larger, better defended convoys. Each Liberty ship joining a convoy increases the Allies' tonnage and resilience. These ships are slow, 11 knots, and lightly armed, carrying a Navy armed guard with a few anti-aircraft guns and a 4-inch deck gun. They are not meant to fight alone. Their strength is in numbers and in escort protection. German submariners sneer at them as Kaisersarge, Kaiser's coffins, deriding shipbuilder Henry Kaiser's creations as flimsy floating coffins that would be sunk by a single torpedo. And indeed, many Liberties do fall victim. Torpedoes often split a Liberty's hull in two, sometimes due to brittle steel in cold water. Dozens of Liberty ships meet sudden ends in 1942, their crews taking to lifeboats or perishing in the cold Atlantic. Yet for every Liberty ship sunk, many more take its place. The U.S. Maritime Commission's goal of 2,000 new ships by the end of 1943 now looks achievable. The balance on the ocean is slowly shifting. Allied air patrols, equipped with new radar and Lee light searchlights, begin to spot U-boats at night. Hedgehog anti-submarine mortars and longer-range escort carriers make their debut, chaperoning the convoys. Technology and tactics improve. High-frequency direction finding, HUF-DUF, pinpoints U-boat radio signals, while ultra-codebreakers decipher German communications. By spring 1943, wolf packs that once roamed with impunity are encountering deadly surprises. Clash of May, 1943. Turning point. Nowhere is this shift clearer than in the brutal convoy battles of March to May 1943. In our opening scenes convoy, ONS-5, nearly 50 merchant ships, including many Liberty ships, and their escorts faced off against over 30 U-boats in a week-long running battle. The Wolfpack attacks night after night in late April and early May. Ships explode and sink. ONS-5 loses 12 ships beneath the waves, but the escorts fight back ferociously, and reinforcements rush in. In the chaos, the Germans pay a high price. At least 6 U-boats are sunk in that engagement, with several more heavily damaged. Shellfire from escorting destroyers riddles U-boat hulls. Depth charges find their marks. One U-boat is caught on the surface at dawn by a Royal Canadian corvette and mercilessly shelled until it capsizes. For the first time, a large wolf pack fails to overwhelm a convoy. The hunters become the hunted. As May 1943 unfolds, U-boat losses skyrocket. In 1 month, 41 U-boats are destroyed, a catastrophic toll. Dönitz, realizing the disaster, makes a fateful decision. On May 23, 1943, he withdraws all U-boats from the North Atlantic convoy routes. The once proud wolf packs are in retreat. Black May 1943 goes down in history as the turning point in the Atlantic. Allied shipping losses, which had peaked the year before, plummet dramatically. From the 124 ships lost in June 1942, the number drops to only 4 ships lost in June 1943, an almost miraculous reversal. The Liberty ships and their escorts have won the war of attrition. America is literally outbuilding and outfighting the U-boat menace. Göring's dismissive laughter has died in his throat. The inferior industrial products of America have proven decisive. But victory has come at a staggering cost. The convoy sailors, merchant mariners and Navy escorts alike, have endured hellish conditions, frigid water, blazing oil slicks, the constant terror of sudden torpedo strikes in the night. Thousands have given their lives. Allied merchant ships by war's end suffered over 30,000 crewmen killed by U-boat attacks. The U.S. Merchant Marine, in fact, suffered the highest casualty rate of any American service in World War II. Liberty ships were crewed by civilians who braved the Atlantic gauntlet, knowing their chances of survival were slim. Yet they sailed anyway, and kept on sailing, ship after ship, convoy after convoy. Their sacrifice kept that vital lifeline intact. In the broader war, the implications of this triumph at sea are immense. By late 1943, the Allies have secured the Atlantic. The bridge of ships Roosevelt promised is now a reality, an unbroken chain of convoys steaming to Britain and beyond. The 2,710 Liberty ships built during the war carry millions of tons of cargo. Rifles, tanks, airplanes, fuel, food, and troops, without which the liberation of Europe would have been impossible. Winston Churchill gratefully acknowledges this, declaring, "Without the supply column of Liberty ships that endlessly plowed the seas between America and England, the war would have been lost. By sheer output, the United States overcomes the U-boat peril that once nearly strangled Britain." The Liberty ships, though derided as ugly ducklings or dreadful-looking objects by even Roosevelt himself in a joking moment, proved to be the workhorses of victory. They are crewed by brave souls and protected by Allied navies, forming the logistical backbone of the Allied war effort. From late 1942, Liberty ships not only sustain Britain, but also enable offensive operations. The invasion of North Africa, Operation Torch in 1942. November 1942 is made possible by vast convoys across the Atlantic and Mediterranean. Later, Liberty ships ferry troops and supplies for the D-Day invasion, and then keep the armies advancing, unloading cargo at newly captured ports in France. General Dwight Eisenhower would later note that even the greatest strategy would have failed without the means to deliver the goods. And the Liberty fleet delivered. By 1945, Nazi Germany lies in ruins, pounded by the very industrial prowess they once mocked. Hermann Göring's early war jibe that Americans were only good at making razor blades has proven a ghastly miscalculation. American factories did churn out razors and refrigerators, and also 2,710 Liberty ships, nearly 100,000 aircraft, 86,000 tanks, and countless other engines of war. The Nazi leadership had bet that the US would be too slow or weak to mobilize. Instead, the United States became a colossus of production. 18 American shipyards, working with assembly line efficiency, produced the largest single class of ships in history, the Liberty class, mass-produced on an unprecedented scale. Each Liberty cost only about $2 million to build, but carried up to $87 million worth of cargo in wartime. Many lasted well beyond their nominal 5-year lifespan, a few even serving into the Vietnam War era. And while hundreds of Liberty ships were lost to U-boats, mines, and storms, the vast majority delivered their payloads and kept coming back for more. The German U-boat arm, by contrast, was effectively broken. Of 40,000 U-boat crewmen who put to sea, 30,000 never returned. A testament to their grim valor, but also to a strategy that failed once Allied industry hit full gear. As Allied soldiers marched into Germany in 1945, they were equipped and fed, thanks to an unceasing flow of supplies from North America. Every rifle carried by a GI, every can of Spam eaten on the front, every Jeep and Sherman tank driven in battle, all had crossed the ocean on a Liberty or Victory ship. Göring's sneer had been answered by a flood of ships, so vast that it overwhelmed the Nazi war machine. In the ashes of the Third Reich, one lesson stood clear. Never underestimate the power of a mobilized democracy. Hitler's inner circle had believed the U-boat could starve Britain before American industry could make a difference. Instead, American industry built a bridge across the ocean and strangled the U-boat. July 1945, Nuremberg prison. Hermann Göring sits in his cell, a defeated man, awaiting trial. One wonders if his mind drifted back to those arrogant words about razor blades and refrigerators. In the end, those razor blades, emblematic of American consumer goods, had morphed into mountains of war material that Germany could not match. Göring's miscalculation was not just a humorous anecdote. It was a microcosm of the Nazi regime's fatally flawed hubris. The Liberty ships he scorned played a pivotal role in sealing his nation's fate. They delivered liberty to a besieged world, one slow, plodding cargo ship at a time. In the grey dawn after the convoy ONS-5 battle, survivors on the West Maximus and other ships stood on deck amid the debris and quieted seas. They had lost friends and ships, but they had survived. On that morning horizon, they could glimpse the shapes of new ships arriving, reinforcement freighters and escorts, proof that the Allies now controlled these waters. The convoy sailed on, carrying precious cargo that would fuel the next Allied offensives. Göring's razor blades had indeed become 2,710 ships of steel. The lesson was etched in every rivet and weld of those liberties. Arrogance in war can be deadly, and the strength of a free nation, once roused, can manufacture miracles. The battle began in desperate fear and ended in resounding triumph, a testament to those who built and those who braved the bridge of ships that rescued the free world. As one Liberty ship bosun, reflecting on nights haunted by U-boats, later put it, "We were the fragile thread holding everything together. They tried to cut us again and again, but we just kept tying new knots." In that persistence lay ultimate victory. The convoy sails on,